Hi guys, so I watch a couple of people that do reading vlogs and I've wanted to do one for quite some time. I'm currently reading Stalking Jack the Ripper and I thought I love this book so much and I've literally enjoyed reading every word, and I thought why not film myself finishing it. So I'm gonna keep checking in and expressing my opinions and my thoughts on the book as I finish it, and I have a rough idea of who I think the murderer is or who Jack is, so let's see if I'm right. So let's get to reading. So I'm just about to finish chapter 23 and I thought I'd hop on for a bit. So the protagonist, Audrey Rose, accompanied by Thomas Creswell, attended the funeral of Catherine Eddowes, who has just been murdered by Jack the Ripper. And she attended the murder scene, and at the funeral she was creeped out by a man who kept peering over his shoulder and looking at them. And on meeting, he invited them over to his parlour and then confessed to him being a medium. So they're now having a kind of seance, and supposedly he's talking to Catherine Eddowes. She said that the murderer is a pale-haired man who she was angry with. I have my ideas of who it could be. So this book is proven to be quite a comedy, which I think that's the reason why it's so easy to read and why I've enjoyed reading it so much. But I've just read a bit that I've literally just been laughing to myself for the last 5 minutes about. So Audrey Rose and Thomas have been called to Scotland Yard, and her uncle is there with a letter and a parcel from Jack the Ripper. And I've had to Google what the letter said because it's really hard to read and the grammar is awful as well. So Jack the Ripper was illiterate as well. And so Audrey said, seems a bit odd, don't you think, about sending a kidney, and Jack the Ripper also said that he'd eaten some of it too, which is disgusting. And Thomas said, sending a kidney through the mail is quite ordinary. I do it at least 3 times a week to remain fashionable. You ought to try it. Really impresses the girls at tea. Honestly, that paragraph has made my day. It really has. Anyway, back to reading. So I'm currently on chapter 28 and I've just read probably it's probably the most shocking sentence I've ever read in a book, and I think the thing that made it more shocking was the fact that I wasn't expecting it at all. In a million years, this is not what I expected to happen in the book. And when I read it, I literally instantly shut the book and was like, oh, for a good minute. I'm just so shocked. I'm really, really shocked. This is probably the best book. This is probably my favourite book. I think this has surpassed Jane Eyre. And I really, really love Jane Eyre. Wow. I'm just speechless. I really am speechless. Completely and utterly. Hi, so I've been reading for a couple of hours and stopping and starting and finally come to the very last chapter of Stalking Jack the Ripper, and I don't even want to read the last chapter because I've loved reading this book so much, and I literally feel like I've been transported back to London 1888 during the times of the Jack the Ripper murders. And I started this book 3 weeks ago today, and you know, reading a chapter here and there, and you know, not reading it the odd day, and it has haunted me. And I've thought of the book, and you know, the parts where I was up to, and you know, had my own theories with it, and I'm honestly blown away by Kerri's writing and imagination and research. She must have spent ages researching the victims, their lives. I don't know how true the particulars are with the victims, like describing the, you know, the dresses and things. I'm not entirely sure if that is 100% accurate, but I definitely want to delve deeper into the Jack the Ripper murders. Like, yeah, we know who killed the women in the book, but we don't know who the real Jack the Ripper was, and we never will. I wish we did know who he was, but we never will, and there is no point dwelling on the fact that we're never going to find out who he is. But just to have this, it's not a fascination with Jack the Ripper or with the murders, it is a fascination with the mystery of Jack the Ripper, and it baffles me and almost frustrates me, because I know full well if this brutality happened, you know, in 2008 instead of 1888, it would have been solved, and we would have known who the perpetrator was. And that is the most frustrating thing, that these women had to die at the hands of an identified man, and the poor victims and their family and friends have no justice, and that's what's sad to me. And this has got incredibly deep but that's just what I'm like. So I'm gonna go and read the last chapter of Stalking Jack the Ripper, and it's gonna be emotional. So here goes. Last sentence. It's done. I'm speechless and quite teary. So I read, I'm going to try not to go on a tangent now, but I read Jane Eyre about a year and a half or 2 years, about a year and a half to 2 years ago, and completely fell in love with the storyline. And when I'd read Jane Eyre, I completely fell in love with it. I was completely absorbed by it. I'd go to work and think to myself about, you know, where the storyline was going to go, who the mad woman in the attic was, and all this, you know, this, that and the third. And I was just completely obsessed with the book. So fast forward to now, and I still label my most favourite book as Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. But I think that this book could well surpass that. I honestly think this is my favourite book of all time so far. And I'm just completely speechless how something that happened 200 years ago, nearly, I think. So for such a brutality that happened 130 years ago, and to make something so enjoyable to read about these, and it was, some parts were very, very gory, and there was a bit during the end, or like part of the last chapter, where I was like it kind of did make me gag a little bit. So I think I have found my favourite book of all time, and yes, I'll read some more books, definitely read more books, and they'll probably surpass this book, but they're going to have to be pretty darn good to beat this. The way Kerri made these historical, brutal events so enjoyable to read is nothing short of a talent, and I'm just so, I am really, really blown away by how much I love this book. And it's literally like from the get-go that I was like, I love this book. And I'm really, really sad that I finished it. And this book is gonna have pride of place on my bookshelf, and I'll be telling everybody to read it because it is an incredible, incredible book, and an amazing story with such a big, big plot twist, which left me speechless. If you haven't yet, go and buy Stalking Jack the Ripper by Kerri Maniscalco. You won't regret it. You honestly will not regret it. Please, please, please go and buy it and enjoy it. And I will post a whole review of this book very soon, because I need to relive the memories of me reading this book once again, and it's just so incredible. I'm probably borderline obsessive right now, so I'm gonna go. But I hope you enjoyed this vlog. I hope it hasn't been too joltery or messy or whatever. I'm just completely blown away, and I'm glad I have my reaction to the ending on camera because it was incredible. And before I go on another tangent, I'm going to say goodbye, and thank you for watching this video. Subscribe if you haven't, and leave a comment if you've read this book, and tell me what you think of it, and like the video. Thank you very much. Bye. Goodbye for now.